the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with the roll call, please.
Council President O'Halloran.
Here.
Councilmember McIrvin.
Here.
Councilmember Prince.
Here.
Councilmember Perez.
Here.
Councilmember Vaughn.
Here.
Councilmember Albertson.
Here.
Councilmember Rivera.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
All right, thank you. And tonight we're going to start off tonight's meeting with proclamation. It's Welcoming Week 2023.
Proclamation, whereas the City of Renton is proud to join Welcoming America, a national nonpartisan nonprofit organization to bring together neighbors of all backgrounds to build strong connections and affirm the importance of welcoming and inclusive places in achieving collective prosperity. And whereas a growing initiative across the world, Welcoming Week, is part of an inclusive vision that recognizes being a welcoming community makes us stronger in all aspects. In Renton, it is an opportunity for us to reaffirm that we are greater when we belong, and all our contributions are wanted and respected. And whereas a beacon of hope and freedom, Renton has symbolized opportunity, diversity, and prosperity for generations of immigrants and refugees. And whereas Renton is strengthened by the diversity of our immigrant and refugee populations that are a vital part of our communities by bringing ideas, starting businesses, serving in civic roles, working in essential industries, and contributing to the vibrant diversity of Washington. And whereas the City of Renton has an especially proud history of welcoming people from countries around the world, recognizing that our advancement as a community depends on a continuous flow of new immigrant life, and whereas the willingness to open our hearts to fellow human beings is a characteristic all Renton residents share and value, and our whole community benefits when we foster a welcoming environment by extending support to others in need, and whereas the willingness to open our heart, and whereas regardless of where we are born or what we look like, we are residents united in our effort to build a stronger community. Now, therefore, I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim September 8th through 17th, 2023 to be Welcoming Week 2023 in the City of Renton. I encourage all residents to join me in the special observance, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 11th day of September 2023, signed Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President O'Halloran.
I move the council adopt the proclamation as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Council President O'Halloran, second by Councilmember Prince, that the council adopt the proclamation as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carried. And tonight to accept the proclamation is our own Mary Jan Van Cleves, and she's the administrator for Equity Housing, Human Services, and the acting administrator for Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say thank you and say a few words. 28% of our community is currently foreign-born, and we just wanted to celebrate their economic contributions, resilient values, and cultural thumbprints they place on our hearts, our city, and history. We have a beautiful tapestry and history of decades of immigrants throughout our city. You see it in our businesses and our schools, and we'd like to continue just to initiate that. That's our value system in the city. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's take a picture. Okay, next we're going to start a public hearing for street vacation, and to present will be Amanda Free. Amanda?
Mayor, Council President, Council members. My name is Amanda Free, the Economic Development Assistant Director in Community and Economic Development. I'm presenting a public hearing tonight on a street vacation. It is an alleyway located in Kennydale, lying between North 31st and North 32nd, and also Park in Burnett. Hi. Here's a general location showing the alley in the Kennydale neighborhood. An updated petition was submitted on July 17th. They had 80% of the 41 property owners sign the petition. The petition is to vacate approximately 13,800 square feet of alleyway that was dedicated in 1904 on the original plat of C.D. Hillman Garden of Eden. This alleyway is located in an area of the city that was annexed in 1969. The petition was initiated by the property owners and was not required by an active land development project. The alleyway construction there is alleyway construction occurring on the 4 lots on the west portion of the alley for new homes that will be accessing the alley off the north side. These 4 lots are not included in this petition. So this is a representation of the red is the area that is requested in the petition for vacation. The blue dotted lines show the 41 properties that are impacted by this vacation. Per our usual standard, we send a request around and was circulated throughout various departments within the city and also our outside agencies. We've received some comments regarding future development and how that would be impacted by this vacation. Basically, summarize it that with the vacation, all of the properties would have to be accessed off the main roads, which would impact curb cuts, sidewalks, planters, and potentially on-street parking capacity in the future. Overall, no vacations were raised for this vacation. The Community and Economic Development Department recommends that council approve the request to vacate the following, with the following condition: that the petitioner provide an appraisal of the vacation area. To provide next steps, tonight is the public hearing. After the close of the public hearing, council can either deny or approve the vacation request. If council approves the petition, the petitioner will be required to submit an appraisal. Once we have received the appraisal and have reviewed it, the staff will return back to the council with a recommendation for the compensation for the appraised area, and also the council will set the amount. And that is all I have on this, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Questions from council at this point? Okay, do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we do have a number of people signed up to testify tonight. So when I call your name, please step up to the podium, address the council. Please give us your name and address, and they will have 3 minutes, and there's a timer right in front of you and a little green light that'll turn on and a yellow light when your time is almost up. So first up is Mark Peterson. Mark?
All right, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Mark Peterson. I have lived in the Kennydale neighborhood of Renton for over 20 years. As you know, I and my neighbors have initiated the petition for alley vacation number 23-001 under consideration this evening. I want to provide a brief history of alleys and vacations in our area. In the last 62 years, 6 blocks within Lower Kennydale have completed alley right-of-way vacations, one of these prior to the 1969 annexation of Kennydale into the city of Renton. These blocks have the same configuration as Block 15 with, period. 3 blocks in the neighborhood still have the 12-foot alley rights-of-way on the books. Block number 12, block number 15, the one under consideration, and number 17. I want to draw attention to the fact that the previous 5 alley vacations in our area were granted at no cost to the property owners. We are requesting the same treatment and benefit. As noted, 83% of the property owners signed the petition. It is unlikely that 100% of the property owners will be financially able to pay for their respective piece of the property, especially in light of the 90-day window and the single payment requirement. CED mentioned if one to me. If one party were unwilling or unable to pay for their portion, the adjoining property owner could buy theirs as well as their own. One can imagine a very vitriolic situation between neighbors if this were actually to happen. We're asking for the same consideration that was given to the previous alley vacation petitioners in previous years. Please don't require us to pay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next up is Seth Pavlik.
Hi, my name is Seth Pavlik, and since 1995, my family has owned the Kennydale property that we recently built a beautiful custom home on. My late father, Roy, lived there before my wife and I started our family there 12 years ago. We built the house because it was my mother's dream to have a wheelchair-accessible first-floor home for her golden years. Our house was finished in September 2019. We were allowed to build a detached garage with a front-facing driveway entrance because there was no existing alleyway at the time. Currently, there is still no alleyway behind our property, nor should there ever be, because examining the language in the ordinance number 5744, it reads, the RMC 4-4080, etc., R6 and R8 zones, for lots abutting an alley, all parking areas and or attached or detached garages shall not occur in front of the building and or in the area between the front lot line and the front building line. Parking areas and garages must occur at the rear or side of the building, and vehicular access shall be taken from the alley. See RMC 4-2-115, Residential Design and Open Space Standards, Ordinance 5744. This clearly states at the beginning there, for lots abutting an alley. It doesn't say anything about right of ways or future possible alleyways, but for lots abutting an existing alley. There are a multitude of reasons that those of us potentially affected oppose the idea of an alleyway behind our properties. One of the primary reasons is safety. From the first response teams having to respond to alley incidents from the street fronts to unwanted criminal activity gaining access from behind our homes. This proposed alleyway will reduce safety and increase vulnerability and uneasiness for all of us affected by it. This ordinance was intended to affect new developments primarily intended for high-density housing. Our particular block is anything but. In fact, the new houses being built, while zero setback, ultra-monstrosity McMansions, are still somehow single-family. Lastly, while there is still more to be said on the topics such as the negative environmental impact, I'd like to end my thoughts on this here tonight by saying that idealistically, the alley might theoretically be a good idea on paper, but it doesn't exist and it shouldn't exist because it just doesn't fit. The lower Kennydale neighborhood is already super smashed together. We barely have backyards to speak of to begin with. We hardly have street parking as it is, and this proposed alleyway will only make things worse. This ordinance was intended for high-density new developments, not established neighborhoods like Lower Kennydale. Please consider vacating the right-of-way between North 31st and 32nd Streets, between Burnett Avenue North and Park Avenue North, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next up is Kim Lulius. Did I say it right that time?
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Kim Lulius. I've lived in Kennydale for 19 years. Since 1978, 5 blocks with right-of-ways have been vacated in Lower Kennydale and have the same configuration as the subject block 15. The last vacation was completed in 1990. All alley vacations were deeded at no cost to the property owners. After speaking with one of the property owners, on one of the last blocks vacated, I verified they did not pay for the vacated land. The land is obviously worth more now than in previous vacation years, but it's the same percent increase. The typical change in land size when vacating the right-of-way is going from 5,100 square feet to 5,400 square feet, which is an increase of 5.5%. We would not gain any more or less relative to the previous blocks that have been vacated at no cost. We will begin to pay property taxes in perpetuity once the vacated land is deeded. We will only benefit in deeded land value if we sell in the future. We will continue to pay increases in taxes in perpetuity. We are requesting that the land be vacated at no cost. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Sarah Omliak.
Hello, I'm Sarah Omiliak. I live in Renton on North 31st Street. I believe that vacating the alley is in the best interest of the city and not just the residents surrounding it. Vacation would benefit the city by reducing risk of liability caused by falling trees, landslides, or other causes. The city would also receive increased property tax revenues as a result of higher taxable land value. And you personally would not have to hear from us about this anymore. I have significant doubts that we would be able to collect the funds if we were required to pay for the land at market rate, or if even at half the market rate. If we cannot afford to pay, the city will continue to bear this liability, and this process would be for naught. I respectfully ask that you approve our request to vacate the alley at a cost that covers the amount expended by the city related to this alley and the vacation process only. This would make the city whole, be consistent with the costs paid years ago by our neighbors across the street, and not create undue burden on a small number of Renton residents. Thank you.
Okay, next up, thank you. Next up is Brian Omliak.
Hello, my name is Brian Omiliak. I live on North 31st Street. And I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of the alley vacation. And I believe it is in the best interest of the city and the community to vacate the land at no cost. I don't think the city would be receiving any additional tax revenue if they decide to try to charge us for the land, because I don't believe that we'll succeed in vacating the alley if that were the case. So please consider approving the vacation with a 0% cost to the owners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Gretchen Wicks.
That 2 of my minutes are done. My name is Gretchen Wicks. I've lived in Kennydale for 19 years. There are benefits to the city of Renton, homeowners and builders, by vacating this easement at no cost to the landowners. Vacating this easement will eliminate potential disagreements and legal disputes over proper use of the right-of-way. Removing any possibility of an alley in the future will continue to allow neighbor-to-neighbor camaraderie over our rear fences. Alleyways add more security issues and require more police patrol and expense to Renton City. It would also increase the opportunity for illegal garbage dumping and overnight camping. Eliminating the possibility of an alley protects mature trees and other habitats, provides shade and other environmental benefits. Adding more blacktop in a neighborhood can increase local temperatures, especially if trees are lost. Not having to build an alley will reduce building costs and make more affordable housing in this area, and allow builders to create a larger floor plan while still maintaining green space surrounding the property. And the new houses will maintain the character of this established neighborhood for future generations to enjoy. In short, follow the precedents set in prior alley right-of-way vacations in our neighborhood. Please do not require Block 15 homeowners to pay for this land. Let's work together and achieve the benefits for all to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is Michelle Peterson.
Hi, I'm Michelle Peterson, and I've lived in Lower Kennydale for over 20 years. And we want to thank you for considering our petition for all these past months. In summary of it all, if I'm the last speaker, I'm not sure. 95% of our Block 15 homeowners agree that vacating the alley is desired. The property driving the initial alley vacation request has reconfigured their design and has been approved for front-loading garage access, making an alley access no longer necessary. Given the city has approved deeded alley rights-of-way land at no cost to landowner for the past 5 alley vacations, The owners of our block request the same benefit for this current request. Vacation of the alley right-of-way on our block and the remaining 2 blocks will provide a continued uniform look and feel to our neighborhood and its culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry Conger.
You all for having me. My name is Barry Conger. I live at 1217 North 32nd Street in Renton. I want to thank you all again for allowing me to talk on the proposed alleyway in the Kennydale neighborhood. This is a neighborhood of average-sized lots already serviced by 2 paved roads. A 3rd road will add little value or access while removing valuable and necessary tree canopy. It does not make sense in this age of increased city warming and record heat indices to remove more tree canopy, which is the primary mechanism cities have to mitigate global warming on a local level. Seattle, in one study, ranked in the top 5 cities in the United States for increased heat. We have an urban heat shield, heat island effect, which causes temperature to be 8 degrees higher in the city than found outside of the city. Bottom line, we need to be increasing tree canopy, not removing it by creating unnecessary and unneeded pavement and alleyways. I would like to submit this article that was just very recent in the Seattle Times. It's titled, "Yes, Seattle, we can have both housing and trees," which first appeared in Seattle Times on August 14th, 2023. Is that acceptable? That was kind of short, and that is it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to testify about the street vacation? Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't prepare anything, so I didn't sign up. But I just wanted to say,
Please state your name. And
yes, my name is Majana Dominic, and I live on North 32nd Street as well. I wanted to say that this is an amazing community. We came together because we believe that it was important for us to request this vacation. And we think that we want to thank you for your time and consideration of it. It's important for our children. And when we told them that there's a possibility that someone's going to cut their trees, they're crying and we're really upset about this. So I wanted to just say that my family would like to request a vacation. We support all the all the conversations we've had so far on this topic in this place. And thank you so much for considering doing it at no cost. We were talking about immigrants. My family are immigrants. It's really hard to start a living in a new country with no support. So building that wealth and having buying properties and maintaining them is important for sustainability of our family. So we believe that cutting the trees in on our lot is going to decrease the value of our property. So and it's also very hard for a family with no heritage here and heirloom to come up with an amount of money to pay for additional land. So thank you so much for considering on vacating this property with no cost to the owners. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Oh, we have one more person, it looks like.
Thank you so much. Lori Goldfarb. I live on North 32nd Street as well. And I just wanted to also point out in our conversations that our street is steep. And so the alleyway being narrow wouldn't necessarily be a huge benefit to us. And then the other thing is many people have building structures and things that would abut where it would impact. So it would require not only all of our green space, but it would also impact people's ability to, and costs and all of that to reconfigure what they have. So just wanted to thank you so much for your time and really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
One more.
Yep. We are going to have the entire street here.
A lot of you on this two streets know me because I'm the oldest man in the neighborhood. I've been there for 60 years. I've seen all of the houses being built and all of the trees being planted. I think we have a very great community. We don't need an alleyway for certain. And as far as paying for land that we have taken care of so that the city didn't have to take care of, I don't think that's appropriate. And I wish you'd consider that greatly when you decide on a given amount that you think we were required to pay. So
For the record, will you give your name and address for the record?
I'm sorry. My name is Jim McConville, 1030 North 31st Street. Been there forever. 7 houses on my street when I moved in. That's how long I've been there.
Thank you. Don't see anybody else dashing for the mic. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
What's the council? Yes.
I
Council
move we
President.
close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President Halloran, second by Councilmember Prince. The public hearing be closed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President Halloran.
I move the council approve the vacation petition with the condition of the submission of an appraisal.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President O'Halloran, second by Councilmember Prince, that the council approve the vacation with the submittal of an appraisal. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Okay, we are on to administrative report.
All right, good evening, everyone. The Renton Farmers Market will change operating hours for its final 2 dates of September 19th and the 26th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Tomorrow's market on September 12th will run as regularly scheduled from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Find us at the Piazza Park, corner of South 3rd Street and Logan Avenue South with free parking in the city parking garage located off South 2nd Street between Burnett and Logan. Find the Renton Farmers Market on Facebook and Instagram and www.rentonfarmersmarket.com for the most up-to-date details. Information about preventative street maintenance, traffic impact projects, and road closures happening this week can be found at rentonwa.gov/traffic. All projects are weather permitting, and unless otherwise noted, streets will always remain open. We do not control 405.
All right. Thank you. Next up is audience comment. We do have a few people signed up to address the council. When I call your name, please step up to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Please give your name and address and what the topic it is you'll be discussing. And there's a timer and 3 lights right in front of the city clerk. First up is Juliana Double.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Juliana Double. I reside at 4000 Northeast 7th Street. And I stand before you tonight as a 22-year veteran of Renton School District and currently serving as the REA president. Teachers like myself, we know that to get people to understand new things, they need to have their prior knowledge activated. So I'm going to ask you all first to think about, what do you know about the suffering of the community that you serve? The American workers of this country are getting further from the American dream, and you all have been asked to endorse one simple solution to that problem in Renton, and that is to raise the minimum wage of our lowest paid workers. The people in our community who are working 2 or 3 jobs to stay housed deserve your respect and your attention, and I implore you to pass the measure as we have submitted it in advance of the 15,000 signatures we are about to serve the city. We've been pounding the pavement, and we have had overwhelmingly positive responses from the thousands and thousands and thousands of voters that we have talked to about this issue. You all can make this law happen. Or we can run a special election and cost the taxpayers more money for all the ballots that will need to be sent out. The choice really, truly is yours. Hopefully you heard last week the King County Council is set to pass legislation that will increase the minimum wage for unincorporated King County. That is 250,000 workers potentially who will be affected by that change. And if that happens and we don't raise the wage in Renton, we're going to look pretty darn shameful. Our measure that we have submitted to you will actually exempt our small businesses. The King County measure does not. We are asking again to please do the right thing and be on the right side of history on this measure. Secondly, I would like to ask that you conduct a study of the preschool options that our Renton families have available to them. We have one public preschool run by the school district in Renton, and it is wholly inadequate for the number of young children that deserve a highly qualified teacher that is not run by a private philanthropic or religious organization. So I'm going to be submitting a request to you all that a study be done that assesses and defines this problem clearly, that we understand how hard it is for families with young children to find a high quality preschool option that allows for their child to develop in the ways that we know actually matter. All the studies that have ever been done on early learning show that for every dollar we invest in preschool, we get a return rate of over 300% of that. We diminish incarceration rates, and we set kids up for success when not only when they hit kindergarten, but for the rest of their lives. 2 things are before the City Council in my comments tonight. The first is lifting up the working class, the lowest paid workers in our society, lift them up so that they don't have to work 3 jobs and ignore their children at night. Lift them up and do the right thing. We are going to present you 15,000 signatures soon. That should be enough to tell you what your voters want. Secondly, please help us define the problem of lack of viable, highly qualified preschool options for our families in this city, and we can actually, as Rentonites, call ourselves ahead of the curve. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Dan Clausen.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Dan Clausen. I live at 2004 Northeast 28th Place in Renton, Washington. And I'm here today on behalf of the Renton Historical Society. And I think all of you are aware of it and knows what it does, but just for some of the audience members that may not. So the Renton Historical Society is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation that collects and preserves documents and artifacts from the earliest human habitation of the greater Renton area, and supports the Renton History Museum in interpreting and displaying these collections under the leadership of our museum director, Elizabeth Stewart. So the city and the society have partnered successfully for over half a century in these endeavors, and look forward to continuing our relationship far into the future. But first of all, I would like to thank the city for giving us the opportunity to participate in Renton River Days 2023. Board members, including myself and Council Member Van, were able to meet citizens of Renton and the surrounding areas. What we found out is that there's a great deal of interest in Renton history. And we also found out there are a lot of people who have never been to the museum for various reasons. So there is really some room here for, bringing it to more people. And we were able to direct people to the museum. It was free admission that day during Renton River Days, during all the days. And we had the highest attendance of any day on record at the Renton History Museum the Saturday of Renton River Days. So that was what we had a board game that simulated boat travel in 1876 along the Black and Duwamish rivers as the settlers and the natives took their produce and their products to Seattle via the Black River and the Duwamish River. And a lot of children and adults participated in the game and really had a good time and learned a little history. And also they made canoes and other things from clay, so a good time was had. I'd like to particularly thank Kelly Beamer. I know she's moved on from her service at the city, and Sonia Maylander for giving us and the other participants at Renton River Day such great support. And finally, I would like to encourage all of Renton's elected officials and past Renton elected officials and the general public to support the museum by attending our Bite of Renton. It's going to be a lunch and an auction. It will be held 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday, September 23rd at BFW Post 1263 at Burnett and Hauser Way. So the buffet will include fajitas from Rain City Catering and a variety of foods, including almost everyone's favorite, macaroni and cheese. So Burion's Deputy Mayor Kevin Schilling, who is an avid historian, will be emceeing the event. Tickets are only $35 each, and they can be purchased through our Facebook page, the Renton Historical Society's Facebook page. You can just Google Renton Historical Museum Lunch and Auction 2023, and that will get you there. Or you could call the museum at 425-255-2330 and find out more about the tickets and how to obtain them. The proceeds will support the Renton History Museum. So thank you very much for your attention and for your support.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. All right, next up is Ryan Menges. Ryan Menges. Is that Moon River?
Yeah, I think it was.
Give that to.
All right, now let's see. Your next up is Diane Dobson.
Good evening, honorable members of the Renton City Council, Mayor, and fellow residents. Diane Dobson, CEO of the Renton Chamber of Commerce, here today on behalf of the members of the Renton Chamber, residents, businesses, and stakeholders who have expressed concern about the proposed removal of the Renton Pavilion and Event Center as an event center. On December 13th, 2021, the Renton City Council gave authorization for staff to enter into what was expressed as, quote, discussions regarding the design and financials regarding the future of the pavilion. At that time, council was assured conversations would happen with stakeholders and those who presented at council about the future of the pavilion. As I stated to council on August 14th, 2023, at your last council meeting, a full year and a half after council's direction to staff to involve said stakeholders, we have yet to be invited to a seat at the table in that discussion. In December of 2021, staff brought forward the question of who's going to pay for what, the city versus the tenant versus the Logan Market Partnership. But it was confirmed when Councilmember Rivera asked a question. The pavilion renovation was being prioritized due to the private-public partnership and taking advantage of the fact that the city had a private investor, and I quote, coming to the table with a checkbook. Council was assured no action would take place, that the city council would have final say on the when, how, and how much, and all of the details before anything was ever put into motion. With that, we know you have the final say in moving forward with this project. It's important to acknowledge the initial plan for this facility was rooted in the promise of a public-private investment. However, recent developments would bring into question whether this plan is still moving forward as anticipated, and if the private investor upon whom this plan heavily relied is still involved. If indeed accurate, the significant change should compel us to revisit the project's viability and its alignment with our community priorities. Some of those priorities, as identified in the Civic Core Plan that was developed in 2017 for the Council's awareness, which was prior to COVID, that have yet to see implemented. Implement pedestrian and vehicle scale wayfinding. Facade improvement program, that program was dropped. Prohibit window screens or murals. Not only is it done, but the city buildings have screens and mirrors images on the same. Food cart pod, not implemented. Reduction of deferrals of permit fees for adaptive reuse of buildings. Feedback from developers as fees on the reuse of buildings has been continued without the reduction. Developing a marketing plan for the pavilion, not done. Providing access to the public restrooms at the bus transit center, not done. In the piazza, providing games, not done. Coordinating market efforts with the pavilion, not done. Increasing event programming to daily performances, food trucks, and nighttime events in the pavilion, not done. Remaster the piazza plan to include the surrounding streets and the future development of the Big Five site, not done. So continue to point out those items that are not done. If you go through the plan, you can see it yourself. When you embarked on this journey, you did so with the belief that it would be a sound investment in the future of Renton, expedited under the promise of the public-private investment. If the financial landscape has shifted, we must reassess whether this path remains the most prudent one, especially with the quick wins and short-term projects that still remain incomplete. It's crucial to respect the input and insights of our community members who have voiced opinion and made outreach to the council and to those who played a pivotal role in shaping our city's future through the Civic Core Design Plan.
Okay, thank you. And next up is Ashley Dobson.
Hi there. My name is Ashley Dobson. I am a resident of Renton, and I'm also the founder and operator of Urban Market Pop-Up, which has always been located here in Renton. Recently at the Committee of the Whole meeting, I'm also here to speak on the Pavilion and Events Center being changed, and that space no longer being able to be utilized as a multi-use event space. At the Committee of the Whole meeting on August 14th, the updated design for the pavilion was shared with all of you. As you know, many of you have been here when I've come to speak for the past 3 years on this subject. Some of you have even promised conversation after the fact, and I've yet to see that. In that plan that was shared on August 14th, many of you asked questions about events being subsidized or if the pavilion would actually be able to have event space in it. It was very obvious and told to you directly that the marketplace was going to be prioritized, a market that wouldn't be flexible, even though its name says it was, and that there wouldn't be use for our community to use that space. Our community who uses that space now, one of the last affordable event spaces in our community that can hold that many people. My business is one of those who uses that space, but that's not why I'm here today. I'm here today because I have the ability to be so. But there are countless organizations and small businesses who are able to have a platform and be able to utilize that space to serve this community. I just want to point out some things that I've said to you guys before, just in case you wanted a reminder. Again, it was brought up when the private developer was coming to the table to fund this project. Chip Vincent addressed Councilmember Rivera's concern of this project being locally operated, saying that he comes to, when he is, and I quote, sorry, he is one of those people where he comes to the conversation and what we really appreciate is he brings his checkbook. It didn't seem as though he brought his checkbook at the Committee of the Whole meeting, where you're asking for more funds to get this project done. I also want to bring up something that I said on December 13th in 2021. Today, I beg the City Council to stop with their desires of turning the Renton Pavilion Event Center into something else. The city's money and energy in downtown should be going to the businesses and organization and parks who called downtown Renton home and who have survived not only COVID, but this lengthy and never-ending construction. The locally ran businesses who hold these events do it for the community, not to make a large profit. I am begging you, once again, Please stop hiring people from outside of our community. Please keep these ideas and opportunities affordable by leaving the pavilion intact. Please work on improving what you already have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And that's the last of our comments. Do we have anybody remotely? I think she said we don't.
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay. All right, next up is the consent agenda. There are 11 items. Are there any council would like pulled for separate consideration?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President Halloran.
hearing none, I move the council approve the consent agenda as published.
Second. Moved by Council President Halloran, second by Councilmember Prince, that the council approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. And we're on to legislation, and we have none, so new business is next.
Unfinished business.
Did I miss it? On here. Oh, there it's hidden. Next up is unfinished business. Council President O'Halloran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee has 4 committee reports to present.
Okay, the first Finance Committee report is approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves the following payments. Accounts payable, total payment of $18,655,640.05 for a large number of vouchers, payroll benefit withholding vouchers, and 6 wire transfers. 2 is payroll, total payment of $3,970,531.84 for payroll vouchers that include 1,556 direct deposits and 46 checks. This is both the August 1st through 15th and August 16th through 31st pay periods. 3 is Kidder Matthews vouchers totaling $30,355.01. And 4 is municipal court vouchers totaling $8,660.04. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee committee report.
It's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Alverson. The council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, the next report is regarding an amendment to an interlocal agreement to support regional economic development, aka Startup 425. The Finance Committee concurs with the staff recommendation to approve Amendment Number 1 to the interlocal agreement establishing a cooperative effort to support regional economic development, Startup 425, between the cities of Bellevue, Issaquah, Kirkland, Redmond, and Renton in the amount of $12,200, which broadens the scope of activities and programming for Startup 425. The committee further recommends that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the amended interlocal agreement. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Alverson, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Right, the next report is regarding a therapeutic courts interagency agreement. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve the Therapeutic Courts Interagency Agreement, IAA 24215, between the Renton Municipal Court and the Administrative Office of the Courts for a reimbursement allocation in the amount of $168,617.64 to support the functions and services of the Renton Municipal Community Court. This is signed by the Finance Committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee committee report.
Second.
Then moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Alverson, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, the next is an amendment with Graham Baba Architects to provide full design services for the Pavilion Market project. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve the contract amendment with Graham Baba Architect in the amount of $745,117 even for the full design services of the Pavilion project. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Albertson, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify
Mr.
by
Mayor?
saying aye. Yes, Councilmember Van.
Yes, thank you. I think in light of the information that was presented by some of our community members, I'd like to have a discussion in it. I don't know if we have information from staff in terms of dates that.
This was just presented at the Finance Committee about 30 minutes ago. Is there other information you'd like?
Yes, I did have reservation. I did have asked questions, and I looked to council for guidance to see if there's any additional information. It seems to me from $100K roughly design to $745,000 in city funding, when it is, again, I needed to be reminded, of course, as we work on multiple projects, that this is a private-public partnership. So I want to make sure it's the best interest of the city of Renton and our community. Do we know if there has, one, communication to community and businesses since the last CAL meeting? Can staff help address the issue?
Well, I'm not sure. Do you understand the question there?
Well, because someone just commented, right, saying there was no communication since CAL last time before we went on vacation. So I'm just asking staff for guidance and facts in terms of were there communications with impacted businesses after that meeting. Anyone?
For the microphone.
We would have to ask either Jeff Benici, who's the Finance Committee meeting.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, we do have Martin Pastusha on the line that I can promote and he can answer that question.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Is Martin available?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am, Mayor. Sorry, I just had to wait for him to click in here. Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. In regards to has the communications been since the last meeting? We have been in communications with the vendors at the operating the current marketplace. His contract expires as of January of 2024. We are looking at potential extending that. We're going to get back to once if council authorizes this to move forward tonight, sign an agreement, we'll have a better idea of the schedule, and then we can move forward with that. In terms of communication with the current operator to decide about how additional time, what additional time he'll be able to stay in that particular place. At this point in time, because we do not know an exact date, we're going to presume the council approved anything. We have not done any additional communications since the CAL meeting, which is primarily just an information item for council.
Thank you.
And then if I may have a follow-up, Martin, in terms of the private public partnership, since the last time Mr. Chip Vincent mentioned of that, do we have any information regarding to that?
Well, nothing has changed in that aspect. And what we're looking at, we have a city-owned facility here, currently Pavilion. And there's an investment that needs to be made in basic infrastructure at Pavilion to prepare it for the use of a marketplace. What we'll do is do the basic, but what you're approving tonight is design for Grand Baba Architects to do the basic design work. There'll be structural work, there'll be the mechanical, electrical, plumbing work that'll need to be done to build the basics of the system. And then once the agreement with the vendor to come in and operate that, he will then build out the spaces as a restaurant, as other uses as may need to occur, or as he proposes to occur as an operator of that particular space. Because we are making this investment, we also want to make sure that the city is protected from either the loss of revenue, I should say, not loss of revenue, from the fact that it doesn't operate correctly, or if it isn't successful, that we have an opportunity to protect and maintain this facility and bring that facility back into the city full. We also want to try and look at a way to make sure that because we are making an investment, the city will get a return on the investment through either participation in profits or other means, rental, a whole other different methodologies that will be put together as we move forward with this agreement. What we're proposing tonight is the design contract. We'll come back to it at a date in the near future with another contract for services to work with us to prepare a leasing agreement with a contractor. It's like any other space that we have. We build out the TIs, basically build out the basic TIs, and then the basic infrastructure, and then the tenant will come in and build out the TIs to finish the space based upon the market design. Sorry, that's a very long explanation. I apologize.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, yes, there's another question on that.
Yeah, actually, I want to thank Councilmember Van because I was about to also interject. I didn't quite have the speed or the gall to do so. So thank you for doing so. Because I also have concerns around the cost of this, but also the concerns that were brought forth. I brought up the question around those markets, little pop-up shops. And for the life of me, I'm having a hard time not only with the financial component, but we're paying someone to fix something that isn't broke, that maybe we haven't fully marketed or utilized to its fullest potential, but also why those pop-ups in my mind can't also be mobile so we can still keep our event center. Because I'm afraid about the loss of income to the event, of it being an event space that, again, hasn't been properly utilized. Has any financial research been done in terms of, you talked about possible loss of revenue, and I know you don't want to necessarily say that, Martin, but I think there is a potential loss of revenue with what we're pursuing, and I can't help but also now have this in my back of my mind. There is low-hanging fruit and other projects that we could achieve that we aren't addressing. So my question for you is this going to be financially the best direction for the pavilion with other projects going on? Especially when I know there are certain stakeholders on Third who haven't been spoken to about this, who also are afraid about losing their event space.
Well, and I think the issue there is you're asking about whether this is the best financial decision. I think that's really the council's decision to make. What we're proposing to you is the idea that this marketplace would be there, and it was included in the Civic Core Plan, was to provide a space to enliven and energize the downtown marketplace 7 days a week, as opposed to just when events occur, which have been few and far between. And our revenue is just not there. We're certainly losing revenue on that particular space. Now we're paying as much, if not more, for utilities and other repairs that we have to make to the facility than what revenue is bringing in now. The idea here is but we are getting, I think, the number of events that I think people in the downtown want to see, that by having this market on a day-to-day basis will allow us to do.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council President.
I'd like to just ask a clarifying question. I know it was said several times that we had an investor come with his checkbook in his hand, and then there was some question that maybe we should revisit the whole project because potentially that investor is no longer coming with his checkbook in his hand. What is the status of the relationship with the person with the checkbook?
I can answer that question. The status has not changed. I actually had a conversation with him this afternoon, and he is still excited and looking forward to building the market out. So yeah, I'm not sure where that came from, but he's still fully invested in Renton and in this project. So
thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. If there's no other discussion, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Let's see here. Now we are on to That was, oh, let's see here, Councilmember Van,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Member Albertson,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rivera.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, now we're on to legislation, which we have none. So we're on to new business. Council President O'Halloran.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, September the 18th at 6 p.m., the Committee of the Whole will be meeting here in council chambers and via video conference. We have an update from the communities in schools of Greater King County. And then on Monday, September the 18th, 2023 at 7 p.m., the regularly scheduled council meeting will be here in chambers and via video conference. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Gerben.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, September 18th at 5:15 p.m., the Transportation Committee will be meeting in the council conference room and via video conference. There are 2 items on the agenda. The first is change order number 5 to CAG 22163 with Pavetta Brothers Construction Incorporated for the Rainier Avenue South Corridor Improvements Phase 4 project. And the second item is change order number 6 to CAG 22163 with Pavetta Brothers Construction Incorporated for the Rainier Avenue South Improvements Phase 4 project. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Prince.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're having a special finance committee this week as well, next week as well. So on Monday, September 18, 2023 at 2 p.m., the finance committee will meet via video conference as well as at the council conference room. We have 7 items of the agenda. Number 1 is sex offender cost reimbursement grant with the King County Sheriff's Office. 2, youth athletic facilities grant agreement with the State Recreation and Conservation Office for Talbot Hill Reservoir Park Sport Courts. 3, local parks maintenance grant application authorization with the State Recreation and Conservation Office for Coulon pathways and parking lots. 4, assumption of the Renton transportation benefit assumption with the State of Washington Department of Ecology for the solid waste management. No. Assumption of the Renton Transportation Benefit District. Agreement with the State of Washington Department of Ecology for the Solid Waste Management Local Solid Waste Finance Assistance Program. And 6, interagency agreement with the King County for 2023-2024 City Grant. And 7, emerging issues in finance. That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Van.
Thank you. The Public Safety Committee has a meeting on September 18, 2023 at 4:15 p.m. via via location is council conference room or video conference. You're welcome to join. We have 7 items on the agenda. 1, school resource officer interlocal agreement with the Renton School District for the year 2023 to 2024. 2, staffing update. 3, downtown patrol district unit update. 4, case updates. 5, violent crime response. 6, RRFA briefing. And 7, emerging issues in public safety. And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to bring a new subject matter business to the council here. I move that the council, I move to refer the matter of drafting a renters protections ordinance to the city to do, modeling the protections from the CTAC community, of course, looking into our community specifically. The reason I'm asking for this is as I'm talking to community members who are priced out, who now we are experiencing what it is a shadow pandemic, where if we are trying to solve homelessness issue, we need to make sure that our renters, who are 55% of the population Renton, to be protected. So once again, I move that the matter of drafting a renters protections ordinance to the city, modeling off the CTAC city ordinance.
Second.
Okay, on the floor, there's a motion to refer to the administration. Renters Protection Ordinance, CTAC. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council President Halloran.
I feel like we did this earlier this year.
It wasn't the same motion.
Thing but second motion, but
If I may, it wasn't the same motion. Mine was a gap analysis for where we fall short in terms of renter protections. Councilmember Van, I believe, is passing a motion to construct an ordinance and model of CTAC based off their renter protections, correct?
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
given that I'm not familiar with CTAC's ordinance, I don't feel comfortable saying yay or nay to the vote. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but to say model after CTACs when there's no familiarity is a little concerning for me.
Would you like me to make a friendly amendment, or would you like to make a friendly amendment to that? I could.
You may make a friendly amendment if you like.
If I may, then I move that the council refer the matter of drafting a renters protection ordinance for the city of Renton to protect our vulnerable tenants and renters in the city of Renton.
Second.
This is a friendly motion since it's yours, so we don't have to do an amendment. Correct. Any discussion on that?
I would just like to say thank you. I think this is long coming. I've been trying to figure out ways to navigate this, and I've been told various reasons of how, of how to move forward. And I will say, as a new council member, it's really difficult to try to get legislation up and off the dais. And so I second proudly and thankful. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just a question for referral. So I'm supportive of considering the idea. Absolutely. I think this is something that is worth further discussion. I know we had similar discussion earlier on the gap analysis, and I think we had some steps outlined by staff that we could take. And I know there were a couple steps maybe ahead of this one. I don't think it, the only thing I'd want to hear back from staff is if there's anything that would preclude this from coming forward now, I don't think it would be something I would be opposed to. I just want to make sure we're not cutting anything else short that we had already kind of set in motion previously. So I guess the question I would have for the motion is where and when would this be coming back to? Is this an ordinance that be coming back to council as a full? Is it coming back through committee? Or are we just getting it drafted and then we'll revisit? That, I guess, is a question for the maker of the motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I do agree with Councilmember McKibben. I think we are cutting a lot of steps in the process. It's like just getting the ordinance out of something that we have not fully informed what exactly the ordinance is going to say, how exactly we're going to address this, what exactly. I think we're moving. The motion by itself is just presenting an ordinance as it is. Are we going to be amending the ordinance as it goes? Are we going to have, I don't know, I'm very confused as it is for the motion. But if the motion is going to stay the way it is, I know that I have to vote on the motion, not in the intent of the motion, which is different. The intent of the motion will be protecting, but the motion by itself, the ordinance by itself is confusing for me.
I'm not sure what is confusing about it, because I am speaking very clearly, but based on the information.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's about the details, I guess.
Yes.
That's the part that's confusing.
Yeah, so the detail is that draft, right? So we're just drafting. This matter is to refer, if council approve, to refer to the city staff to draft an ordinance to protect renters. Now, with that draft, we can have discussion in full council, committee of the whole, where everyone has privy to the information. It's not a final. So that's kind of where I would clarify that, if that makes sense. And I specifically didn't put a timeline because I know that staff had provided the gap analysis and on their schedule. They have, I'm mindful of staff being stretched thin as well. But I know that our staff is expert in doing the work.
In point of information, I will share that tenant protections are slated to be on the Community Services Committee in October. So I know this is something that has been in conversations with staff, and I know they were preparing to present in October. So just point of information.
Mr. Mayor, that would have for me been a motion that I would have fully support to pass this to Community Service Committee for revision, and from there move it forward with a report from the committee for the community service. That's the way I would feel very comfortable. but just bringing an ordinance to the full council after it have not been revised by a committee, I don't think those are the steps that normally we take when ordinances are coming.
Yeah, so if you would like, Councilman Perez, I would like to add then to move the matter to refer the city, the matter of drafting a renters protection ordinance for the city of Renton to protect tenants to be presented at community services committee.
And I'll second that if necessary.
Okay. Are you good with that? Since it's a friendly, or do we have to go through each?
They made a motion initially,
Yeah.
which was seconded. It hasn't been voted on.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Are you seconding it, or are you saying you will second it if necessary?
If necessary. I mean, if a second is required of this motion. I'm a little confused now with all the motions and the friendlies and the amendments, so please forgive me.
I think she's trying to do a friendly to her own.
And ignore me.
To her own.
Okay, then it doesn't require, it doesn't require a second.
Okay.
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 Well, then I
It does not require a second.
Right, because it already has been seconded.
Okay.
You're just amending it.
The original motion.
Okay. I think I know where we're at. Ryan?
No, I think that was right on. Yes,
No, you changed.
I think, and I'll look to the clerk and the state attorney to correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially the maker of the motion can withdraw the first original two, and that third one superseded those.
Okay. Yep.
Is what I understood to happen.
I was just double checking on that.
That would be the cleanest.
That'd be the cleanest.
That would be the
Remove
cleanest.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I want to say I appreciate the thoughtfulness of this conversation and the fact that we're not going outside of what we normally do and that it's going to go through our committee process. Because as everyone here knows, I believe we need to trust our committees. And so whatever comes back from community services and comes to us probably at Cal or council, I'll be ready to have a discussion about.
Okay.
Yeah, and on that note, thank you, Councilmember Prince. I think for me is that given the shadow pandemic is an urgent matter, and I was not privy to the information that was going to be brought up in community services committee. But it's always best to follow protocol, even in emergency times. So thank you.
Okay. So the motion on the floor, if I'm correct, is for staff to propose a Renton housing protection ordinance to be brought to community services.
Tenant protection.
Tenant protections for renters.
Renters protection.
Protection.
Yes. All good with that? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. All right, Councilmember Albertson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, September 18th, the Utilities Committee will be meeting at 3:15 in the council conference room and via video conference. 3 items on the agenda: 2024 King County wastewater treatment charge rate adoption. Number 2, agreements with Segal or Segali Properties LLC for the Monroe Avenue Northeast Infiltration Facility project. And number 3, emerging issues in utilities, including surface water utility pollutant source control program. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no new business.
Right. What's the wish of the council?
Move adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Prince, second by Council President O'Halloran, that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
If you want to stay, say no. All right, we're adjourned.
Shoot.